The 19th century marked a period of significant territorial expansion for the United States, particularly in the western regions. Through treaties, purchases, and conflicts, vast areas of land were acquired, sparking waves of settlers eager to carve out new lives on the frontier. Among these lands, Texas stood out as a destination of immense promise, characterized by its diverse landscapes of rolling hills, arid plains, and towering mountains. However, as settlers moved into this region, they often disregarded a critical reality. This land was already inhabited by indigenous peoples with rich histories and deep cultural ties to the territory. Among these were the Comanche, a powerful and resilient tribe whose lives were intricately woven into the fabric of the land. To settlers, Texas represented opportunity and prosperity. To the Comanche, it was home, a land imbued with spiritual and cultural significance. For centuries, their ancestors had roamed the plains, establishing a way of life centered on the buffalo and the land's natural rhythms. As American settlers pushed westward, this encroachment ignited fierce resistance from the Comanche and other tribes, resulting in a prolonged period of violent conflict. This struggle underscored the profound clash of cultures and competing visions for the land's future. In this turbulent era, the Guadalupe River Valley emerged as a key battleground. This fertile region, with its abundant resources and access to fresh water, became a focal point of contention. For settlers, it was an agricultural haven, ideal for farming and raising livestock. For the Comanche, it was a sacred place tied to their survival and cultural heritage, home to the buffalo herds that provided sustenance, tools, and clothing. By the time settlers like Jeff Turner arrived in the valley, tensions between indigenous peoples and settlers were already at a breaking point. While there were occasional efforts at peaceful coexistence, such as treaties and negotiations, these were frequently undermined by settlers' relentless westward expansion and disregard for the rights of native tribes. Sporadic skirmishes and violent confrontations became a grim reality, further entrenching hostility on both sides. Jeff Turner, a young man shaped by the harsh realities of the frontier, became emblematic of this volatile period. His story reflects the struggles of survival, the moral complexities of life on the frontier, and the darker chapters of Texas's history. The Guadalupe River Valley, a place of natural beauty and abundance, bore witness to this cultural collision, a clash that would leave enduring scars on the settlers and indigenous communities alike. He arrived in Texas with hopes of establishing a peaceful life, building a homestead along the Guadalupe River. Yet this dream was abruptly shattered as he and his family became entangled in the escalating conflicts between settlers and the Comanche, who viewed the encroaching settlers as existential threats to their way of life. The first raid, a day of reckoning. Turner's first encounter with the harsh realities of frontier life, came during a raid by a Comanche war party. Initially, these attacks were small in scale, livestock stolen, crops set ablaze, acts that settlers saw as a costly but manageable hazard of living on contested land. However, over time, the raids became increasingly violent and calculated as tensions between settlers and the Comanche reached a boiling point. One fateful morning, Turner awoke to find his homestead engulfed in flames. What followed was an act of violence that left an indelible mark on his life. His family, parents and siblings, had been killed in a brutal attack, their bodies left in a state that underscored the horrors of the frontier's unrelenting violence. For Turner, the devastation went beyond the physical destruction of his home. It was the obliteration of his family, the loss of safety, and the destruction of his vision for a peaceful existence in the Texas frontier. A man reborn. The making of Jeff Turner. In the aftermath of the raid, Jeff Turner underwent a profound transformation. The young man who had once dreamed of a life centered on family and farming was gone. In his place emerged a figure shaped by loss, anger, and a desire for vengeance. The destruction of his homestead and family marked the death of his idyllic vision and the birth of a new identity, one forged in the crucible of frontier conflict. Turner's story serves as a reflection of the larger narrative of the Texas frontier, a land rife with cultural collisions, personal tragedies, and the relentless pursuit of survival. His life became emblematic of the darker side of expansion, where dreams of prosperity were often overshadowed by violence and the irreparable scars of conflict. A man transformed. The rise of the White Ghost in the wake of the raid that destroyed his family, Jeff Turner became a man defined by a single purpose: to avenge the loss of his loved ones. The trauma he endured fueled his quest for vengeance, reshaping him into a hardened, determined figure. His transformation was not merely a change in occupation. It was a complete metamorphosis. Grief turned his heart cold, severing his connections to others and driving him to embrace a solitary existence. Turner adopted the lifestyle of a mountain man, living off the land in isolation. He honed his skills as a tracker, mastering the ability to move through the wilderness with stealth and precision. Over time, his name became synonymous with fear among the Comanche. Known as the White Ghost, Turner's ability to strike swiftly and vanish without a trace made him an enigmatic and dangerous adversary. He became a predator, targeting those he held responsible for his loss. The tactics of vengeance. Jeff Turner's guerrilla warfare. Turner's tactics were calculated and effective, born of his intimate knowledge of the land. He used the terrain to his advantage, tracking Comanche war parties with precision and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He avoided large-scale confrontations, favoring guerrilla warfare, small, targeted attacks designed to inflict maximum damage while minimizing his exposure. Turner meticulously studied the movements and habits of Comanche raiding parties. He struck under the cover of darkness, targeting vulnerable members of the group and then disappearing into the wilderness. His attacks left a trail of grim reminders: scalps, weapons, and even bones, symbols of the vengeance that consumed him. For the Comanche, Turner represented a new kind of enemy, one who used their own tactics against them. His intimate understanding of their methods and his unrelenting pursuit made him a formidable and deeply feared figure. The legend of the White Ghost spread rapidly, creating a sense of unease among even the most seasoned warriors, allies, and rivals. The Texas Rangers. As Turner's reputation grew, so did the attention he attracted from the Texas Rangers, the frontier's elite law enforcement agency. Tasked with defending settlers and suppressing indigenous resistance, the Rangers were known for their uncompromising methods. Turner's expertise as a tracker and his knowledge of the land made him an invaluable asset to the Rangers. Despite his lone wolf nature, Turner found himself occasionally working alongside the Rangers in their shared fight against Comanche raiders. However, his relationship with the Rangers was not without tension. While they recognized his skill, Turner's brutal and independent approach sometimes clashed with their authority. To some Rangers, Turner was a valuable ally. To others, he was a rival who operated outside the bounds of their control. This dynamic added a layer of complexity to Turner's story, underscoring his status as both a legend and a controversial figure in the turbulent history of the Texas frontier. An enigmatic ally, Turner's role with the Texas Rangers. Despite sharing the goal of driving the Comanche from Texas, Jeff Turner remained an enigmatic figure. He operated independently of the Texas Rangers, motivated not by duty or law, but by a deeply personal vendetta. His relentless thirst for revenge often clashed with the Rangers' structured approach, which emphasized order and discipline. Turner cared little for these ideals. His methods were ruthless, his objectives singular. Even so, Turner's contributions to the Rangers' campaigns were undeniable. His exceptional tracking skills and deep knowledge of the land allowed him to locate and eliminate Comanche warriors with uncanny precision. This freed the Rangers to focus their efforts elsewhere and provided them with valuable tactical insights. However, Turner's partnership with the Rangers was never meant to be permanent. Ultimately, his path diverged as he pursued his personal mission, driven by a vengeance that knew no bounds. The Comanche perspective: a ruthless invader while settlers viewed Jeff Turner as a hero. The Comanche saw him in a very different light. To them, he was no better than the settlers who had encroached upon their lands, a ruthless invader embodying the growing threat of westward expansion. For the Comanche, Turner was a symbol of the unrelenting aggression they had faced for generations, from Spanish conquistadors and Mexican armies to American settlers. The Comanche raids, often described as brutal, were acts of survival in their eyes, responses to the existential threat posed by settler encroachment. Turner's campaign of retribution, while devastating, was perceived by the Comanche as another chapter in a long history of invasion and displacement. Despite the damage Turner inflicted, his actions did little to alter the larger conflict. The Comanche remained a formidable force, and the settlers' continued expansion only deepened the cycle of violence, locking both sides in an unending struggle. A mysterious end. Turner's final days, the details surrounding Jeff Turner's death remain shrouded in mystery, befitting the man himself. Some accounts suggest he was captured by a Comanche war party and executed in a brutal ritual, his mutilated body serving as a final act of defiance against his reign of terror. Others claim he perished alone in the wilderness, succumbing to a lethal combination of poison and injury. One version tells of Turner and a companion named Smokey being cornered by a Comanche group. Seeking refuge in a cave, they found themselves surrounded by danger, only to encounter a nest of rattlesnakes. After suffering multiple bites, Turner succumbed to the venom, his body later found decomposing in the wild, a victim, not of violence, but of nature itself. Regardless of the circumstances of his death, Turner's story serves as a somber testament to the human cost of vengeance and the brutal realities of life on the frontier. His tale is woven into the larger narrative of American expansion, a reminder of the sacrifices made and the scars left behind in the name of progress. The legacy of Jeff Turner. A dark chapter in Texas history, Jeff Turner's legacy endures as a grim chapter in the history of Texas and the American frontier. His story reflects the harsh realities faced by settlers on the edges of civilization, where survival demanded navigating the fine line between order and chaos. For many, his life is a tragedy, a tale of a man who lost everything and became consumed by vengeance, ultimately paying the ultimate price. Turner's tale is not just a personal story, but a reflection of the broader conflicts of the time. It speaks to the cultural clashes, moral complexities, and relentless violence that define the Texas frontier. His legacy remains a cautionary reminder of the human toll exacted in the pursuit of survival and expansion, casting a shadow over the triumphant narrative of westward progress. For some, Jeff Turner represents the resilience and determination required to endure and survive in the harsh and unforgiving world of the Texas frontier. His legacy, whether viewed as heroic or monstrous, continues to echo through the myths and stories passed down through generations. Turner's life and death are inseparably woven into the broader narrative of the American frontier, a period defined by violence, hardship, and the complex, often tragic, interactions between settlers and indigenous peoples. His story is not merely one of vengeance. It is a testament to the personal and collective sacrifices made in the relentless pursuit of survival, progress, and a future in a land fraught with peril and uncertainty. The saga of Jeff Turner, the enigmatic Texas mountain man, remains a haunting reminder of the price paid by all who lived on the frontier. It speaks to the indelible marks left by those tumultuous times and the complicated legacy they bequeathed to history.